Hey everybody, so I'm putting together this video because I have a whole process in Trello, I'm sure you're shocked, where I was able to organize all of the different things to help me land my dream job a couple years ago. And it worked out really well. I know a lot of folks are looking for a job right now, so regardless of whether that's you or someone you love, I wanted to put together this video with some tips that kind of show you what my process was and how I went from all of these different roles, finding roles, to then applying for them and landing the most interviews and offers I'd had before. So let's just dive right in, shall we? So, of course, this starts in Trello, and this is where I've got each card represents a different job that I wanted to apply for, right? And the list were the different stages you'd go through in the application process. So it could be like, here's something I'm interested in that I need to apply for. It starts right over here. And then once I apply to it, submit a resume, cover letter, whatever that process is, and then maybe I've heard from them, but there's no interview yet. And they're like, hey, we got your application, waiting on, we'll let you know next steps. And then I also noted if I was in the interview process with them and then got rejected, or if I got an offer. And so, anyways, I actually had some other offers in here. I've removed some of the dummy data in here because this is actually not dummy data. This is real stuff. So I've tried to clean up a little bit of it just so it's not like 1,000%. Real data in case there's something sensitive in here. But I do want you to have a sense of what it looks like. And so, first of all, starting with how do I find jobs? Like, how do I even get something in here in this list? And if you're looking for remote work, I use a couple different sources. So Remote OK was a place that I found a lot of stuff. This is, by the way, I was looking for remote jobs pre-pandemic, so it's a lot easier to find remote now. I would say most of the things you apply for, you could probably assume are remote. And if they're not, I think it's something folks are more willing to negotiate on now. But there are specific job boards for people who are specifically hiring for remote jobs. And so you can see if it's different regions, so you're at least in similar sort of time zones. You can filter by salary, you can filter by different benefits, and you can even search for different type of roles. So if you're like, I'm a developer, I do this, I do that. I'm in marketing, I am in recruiting, whatever all of these different things are. So you can filter, and then you can sort by salary, viewed, applied, most benefit, whatever you want to do there. So it's the really great site. And honestly, this has come a really long way from when I used to use it. But there's some other ones like this. I'll post links to any that I can think of additionally in the description. But this is a fantastic tool to start looking for remote jobs at. And whenever you see a role that you like, what I would do is I would try to actually go to the company's website, and sometimes you'll get there easily directly in a link, here you go. Sometimes you need to, kind of do a little bit of digging. But once I would find it, then I would look over what's required of it, and then I would add it into Trello. So just kind of going along with our process. Let's say I want to apply for this. I'm looking at benefits. I'm looking at how we work. About whimsical, apply for this job, what's required here. So they've got an autofill, I need to import a resume, do need a cover letter, I need to answer some additional questions. So I'm going to add this in. We'll call it senior, senior engineering manager, and then whimsical. I think this is actually a different format than what I was doing. I was doing the name and the title. Attach a link to it, and then I'm going to give it a label of medium work to apply, needs cover letter, because, sometimes it's literally as simple as attaching a resume, whereas this looks like I've got to pre-fill stuff from a resume and add all sorts of things and blah, blah, blah. So anyways, so there's that. And then what I'm going to do is I start with a default resume, which actually should have pulled that up. So let me see if I can find this. Here we go, found it. Okay, so what I would do is I started out with a templated resume, which I'll include a link to this, and I'll try to include a link to the Pages file if you want to download it and actually customize it yourself. But I would start with something specific, but I would customize it for the role. So when I go to apply for this, I'm going to go back and look and notice I'm not going to make anything up on my resume, but I am going to see which boxes I check off and then make sure that I'm highlighting that in my resume. So I might, change around some of these skills and mention ones that are more relevant to this role. And same with my experience. I'm not going to lie and make up experience, but I might highlight something different in each role that is more relevant to this role. And so I definitely recommend doing that. I think it makes a huge difference. And again, you're not manipulating anything. You're just, you've probably done a lot of stuff, and ideally you want to fit it all on a page. So make sure to share the stuff that's most relevant, because, having everything in there isn't going to be helpful. They're looking for keywords, they're looking for specifics, and this is what they're looking for. So, they've told you here what they're looking for. So if you actually do match it, then just highlight that experience. So start with that. And then same with the cover letter. I always create a custom cover letter. And then let's say I've got all those things ready and I go apply for it. So when I move this card over to applied, I actually have a checklist of things that I like to do to make sure I get followed up with. And I will say this role is the first, when I was applying for jobs this time, this was the first time I actually got responses from most of the people I applied to. And I think it's because I had a very specific process in here. So you can see what I would do is I'd apply for the job, and then I'd set a due date for a couple days later and basically wait to hear back. If I didn't hear back in a couple days, then I had this list of things that I basically went through as many of these as possible until I heard something, even if it was a no. And so going through these, I'd follow the social media profiles, right? So again, this made more sense because I was, applying for marketing roles at the time. But I would go find the company on social media and follow them. If they're small enough, they're looking at that sort of stuff. And plus it also, gives you something that you can reference in your interviews. Hey, I saw you all posted about this. I also see if I have any connections with people at the company. So I don't know if you've ever noticed, you can go to LinkedIn and you can search for, let's say I want to apply at Whimsical. You can go over here and it will actually, show some people here. You can filter by connections, first, second, or third. So then you can actually see who's working at Whimsical and who, I've got a mutual connection here. These people are mutual connections. Oh, cool. And so then, depending on how well you know those people, you can reach out and either ask for an invite. If you know somebody who's actually already there, you can message them and say, hey, just want to let you know I applied for this role. Is there a recruiter I should speak to or something like that? Even better if you actually are somehow connected to the person who's in charge of that. For instance, say I'm applying for a marketing role and I know someone who is the go-to-market lead. I want to try to connect with that person on LinkedIn or, reach out to them in some way, shape, or form. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find emails of the relevant people or the hiring managers. And what I use for that, I use a tool called Hunter.io. And sometimes you can just guess, but this tool is actually pretty cool. So again, following along with the Whimsical example, let's go to Whimsical's website and let's say I want to apply for a job here. I'm going to get their domain, and you can probably guess that their email is something like Brittany@whimsical.com or Brittany.joiner@whimsical.com. But every company does it a little bit different. And so you can put the URL in here, and it'll show you results. And you can see basically the most common pattern, which is first name at Whimsical. So you can see we've got they blur out some of these and you can get 25 free searches a month. But also sometimes this is helpful just for the format because if that it's first name at whimsical.com, then it's Brittany at Whimsical. Or, if from LinkedIn you found the name of the hiring manager, let's say this Nathan Novotnoy, he didn't accept my LinkedIn connection request. Well, let me try to find his email. Maybe it's Nathan@whimsical.com. Maybe it's Nathan.Novotny@whimsical.com. I would try a couple ones. The cool thing about Gmail is it will let you know if the email doesn't exist. And so you can try that as many times as you want. You can also try recruiters because they're oftentimes going to be more likely to be receptive and responding to those emails there. In those emails, I would follow up. I'd basically in those emails reach out and say, hey, my name's Brittany. I applied for this position. Super excited about it. Just wanted to make sure I was on your radar, that you saw this. Let me know if there's any other information I can provide. Would love to chat about it. And attach your resume and cover letter, and simple as that. And so you can see some of my specific follow options I had with this. And let's say you do 2 or 3 people, no response, find more people, even if it's a bit further out, other recruiters or similar departments, and try that. Let's say I get in touch with somebody, because this is sometimes, I would get responded, but I didn't get an interview yet. Or, I'm just still kind of waiting on them to say something. Then some other things I would do is I would send a follow-up email with a video introducing myself. I actually have an example of this one that I did on for Elastic. So let me include a link to that here and show you. But it's basically a video where I said, it's kind of like a video cover letter. So I basically made a video explaining, here's why I want to work at Elastic. And it's about 55 seconds long, super short and sweet. And that was one of the things that I emailed to those people that I found or those recruiters I was connected with on LinkedIn. And I got a lot of feedback from folks that that was really cool and helpful and lots of good information and details in there. And they it helped me stand out from others. So I recommend doing that. It seems a little cheesy, but like I said, I got really good feedback from it. And I believe almost everyone I did that with actually did respond to me, including Google. Google was actually one that they thought that was really cool. And they were like, I get a lot of messages from people, but like, I actually want to respond to this one. So definitely make sure to do something like that to step out a bit or stand out a bit. And then another thing that I did, if I still, after all that, didn't hear from them, I would send a follow-up with a persona strategy or some sort of digital marketing plan. So again, this made sense when I was like applying for a marketing role. Depending on what your role is, you might have to get a little creative here. I was applying for a marketing role, so it made sense for me to do things like go look at their social media and kind of comment on, oh, here's something, I might do differently here, or I have an idea, have you tried a campaign like this? Or just even signing up and going through their workflow, their email welcome flow, and seeing if I had any recommendations there. And again, it's all about pitching it as not like, man, y'all are bad at this, but instead being more of like, hey, I'm really excited about this role, and like, I'm so excited about it, like, I've already started thinking about like ways that I could help, and here's some specific things that I could bring to the table that I noticed, and I'd be happy to help, set up and work with you all for. So I definitely recommend doing that. Another thing that I actually recommend doing is, this one's going to sound a little bit crazy, but you can also send like a follow-up that's a template of, it's a twist on references, okay? So, some jobs ask for references. I don't see many that do these days, but I actually wanted to make something fun with it. And so even if they didn't ask, if I just needed another reason to follow up, I would send this. Admittedly, I didn't send this to too many people because usually I'd heard one way or the other before I got to this stage. But basically, you can get these quotes from if people have left you recommendations on LinkedIn. If they haven't, go leave some recommendations on people's profile, and they'll typically do it back for you. Or you can ask people, or you can just, I don't know, just ask people you've worked with if, they could give a quote about what it's like working with you, or, anything like that. So I definitely encourage checking that out and working through these different options, just having something new besides, hey, how's it going? Just checking in, like having something physical to show them that, hey, I'm very interested in this job, like, and I'm not just a robot or, somebody, I'm a real person here, very interested in this role. So those are all different ideas for things that you can do to actually get on a company's radar and get to that interview. And there's plenty of other videos that are, and resources for talking about how to do well in an interview and different things that you want to do there. My best tips for that, I'll go ahead and write this down in a checklist as I go. First of all, come with questions, because you are interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. Like, I know you're going to probably feel nervous, and you're going to be like, oh, wait, but like, yeah, I really want to get this job. Well, do you? You're also trying to get to know this company, and you don't want to go into a bad situation. And so I encourage you to ask different questions. Like, some of the ones that I like to do, because for one, it makes you look good, but also it helps you understand what you're getting into. Like, learn about what is, this person I'm going to be reporting to. What is their management style? Like, have you had any turnover on the team recently? Is this a new role, or is this established role that I'm coming in and like, replacing something? Or is it like completely new from scratch and we're figuring it out? Those are good questions to help you kind of understand what's going to be going on. And it shows you're very thoughtful about this role in this position. So definitely do that. Be concise. I am very bad at this, but oftentimes you'll ask, like, your interviewer will ask a question and they're going to be like, oh, like, you're going to be tempted to give every possible explanation. Just like your resume, keep it simple, highlight what's relevant, say it, answer the question, give examples, summarize, be done. Don't like overcomplicate it. kind of like I'm doing with this point. I won't continue to belabor it. But those are definitely the big things. And then just honestly be yourself. I know that sounds so cliche and cheesy, and you're like, what, why do I even care about that? Because you really want, like, I know in this economy it's stressful and terrible, but you really want to work somewhere where you're wanted and you're able to be yourself and bring your energy. And yes, I know these are trying times and like we all need something. But if you feel like you have to change yourself so much so in your resume or in your interview and this whole process, think about what that's going to feel to be like that every single day. And so, I mean, I don't go around like shooting F-bombs in my interviews typically, but at the same time, I do try to bring that light, energetic energy and like humor and just kind of show like, you know, I'm a laid back sort of person, like, you know, that sort of thing. And so be yourself, bring yourself. And yeah, I know that's cheesy, but that's all I'll say about that. And so, yeah, so those are really my best interview tips. You can definitely do some practice interviews with people. There's all sorts of other tips online for how to ace your interview. But from there, just keep cranking it out. It's a numbers game. You're going to apply for a lot, and some will respond, some won't. Some will give you an interview, and some of those will turn into offers, and a lot of them won't. And that's just a numbers game, and it's very hard to not take it personally when you see all of those nopes. But, like, it's just a numbers game. Just keep telling yourself that. It's part of the process. It's really has nothing to do with you. Like, it does in the sense of, like, you have to do all the right things for it to work out, it seems, but even then, you can do all the right things, and it still doesn't work. So I'm going to stop there because this could easily be a longer discussion. But if you need any help, please comment on here. Reach out to me. I'm happy to try to show you some places that I know are hiring right now, share some more job boards, give feedback on resumes or anything at all that I can do to help. Just wanted to reach out and share this with everyone. So thanks.